This is gonna be a fun one. Today I will be taking this 1980 John Deere Turbo 8820 and bringing it into the 21st century with auto steer and yield monitoring and moisture sensing, all thanks to Farm TRX and AgriGPS. So as far as technology goes, I definitely have more technology in my equipment than most other 200-acre farmers do. And most of that's because of my AgriGPS dealership. But yield monitoring to me is probably one of the most important things because that is how I decide my variable rate fertilizer and hopefully in the future, once I upgrade my planter, a variable rate planting. And it's just really nice to be able to see the differences in yield across the field, especially if you're doing stuff like trials, which I am, or seed trials. Next year I'm gonna be doing a bunch of different fertility trials, and just being able to go look at all that is very nice. Also, the other reason that we're gonna be doing this here today is because if it all works out, my dad wants me to help him combine his field, so do some custom combining for him. And obviously the yield map is very important to them as well. But with this kit, what's really, really cool about this is what makes this really special is that my combine will be able to talk to, in real time, my dad's 2022 S770. So if we open the box here, now I've already opened it, so the presentation's probably not gonna be as good as it would be if you ordered it, new. I got all the instructions, some cutout templates. Now this is the Farm TRX side. So here is, these two are the yield sensors. This is a moisture sensor. And then these two work in conjunction for header height control. But if we go underneath this is where it gets really fancy. Because you'll notice, this is Farm TRX Yield Monitor, but this one says AgriGPS Farmer TRX ISO Bridge. So what AgriGPS has done is they have taken the Universal Yield Monitoring Kit from Farm TRX, which Farm TRX has been around for a while. They have been making these Universal Yield Monitoring Kits for some time, but they have made it be able to talk to a John Deere display. So I can put a Gen 4 display in this cab, get yield, moisture, and then also with my ATU and be put on the steering wheel, run stuff like AutoPath. So super, super excited for all of this. Now I've already kind of read through the instructions, but I'm definitely gonna have to read through it again because it is gonna be quite a process setting this up. So I think I'm gonna start with easy and work towards hard. So easiest is probably gonna be the header height control because that just mounts outside here somewhere. Probably mount it to like side of the feeder house and the side of my steps here or on the over here. I should probably read the instructions again. So how this header height control works is each one of those little boxes has a IMU in it or a gyroscope. And relative to each other, so if one gyroscope is flat but the other one is at an angle, your head is down. But if they're both flat, then your head is up. Now, obviously, it's a little more complicated than that, and because they both have gyroscopes, it doesn't matter if they're going uphill, downhill, side hill, whatever. And it's all, I can calibrate it later through the app, but it looks like I can mount them in any orientation as long as one of the axis is in line or parallel to my wheels. So here they show some examples of how they mount it. I'm probably looking at something like this would be my guess. Or maybe this. Actually, this might work pretty good right here. And here I thought I was gonna have to start drilling holes. They have 3M tape on them. Perfect. You can still drill a hole if you want to, but I'm probably okay with the tape, at least for now. So I think actually looking at it, here and here would be a fantastic spot for it, but I'm not gonna do it yet. I'm actually changed my mind. I'm probably gonna do this last because the eyes for the yield and the moisture sensor do have a very specific location that they need to go. And then I want to route the wires and see where the best place to route the wires is. And depending on where that is, I might change the header height. So I'm looking at the yield monitor, moisture sensor here, and looking at the instructions. Nope, that's the wrong book. It's over here. Here we go. So it wants you to mount the moisture sensor on your clean grain elevator door. And it kind of gives you directions where to do it. So I've determined that the best spot is right this black mark, probably a little bit off center this way. But the best way to do it is to take off the door. And of course, mine isn't bolted on. There's a pin that goes back in there into the abyss. So I just lubed it up, trying to get it out. But then they give you a whole really nice template where you can use a center punch, mark your holes, drill them out. They even include drill bits, the right size drill bits that you need. It's pretty great kit so far. I haven't really done much, but I need more punches. Here we go. Maybe wire brush it a little bit. Might as well put this thing dang close to the center because it's pretty big and it covers up most of my clean grain elevator. So maybe kind of like that. Go a little bit towards. Let's see. I'm trying to think. Oh, this is actually the inside edge over here. Yeah, let's go a little bit towards that inside edge. But where's my mark? Marker's right here. There we go. Okay, so I got my center punch. And I just punch the crosshairs here and here. Like, let's see, let's get this right on there. Now where did I put the hammer? That might be an important tool. Right here. There they are. Now, my vise is not big enough to actually fit this piece of metal or this door in it, so we're gonna try my best here at the edge of the, that's the wrong side. Try my best here at the edge of the welding table. Okay, that wasn't bad. Well, they include a nice sharp drill bit, I can tell you that. And then for the next step, they also included a hole saw. That's the correct size, so that way you don't screw up your install. Genius. Aha! Look at that. Now the other one. Having a good battery makes it way better. Now all I gotta do is take an angle grinder and cut a straight line to connect these two circles, and then deburr it a little bit. Get a file, make the edges a little nicer. So now in my jumbled up mess here, we got a faceplate, and here's the actual moisture sensor itself. So the cable goes towards the door hinge, so it sits right there. Now I think before I do much, I gotta put this faceplate in the inside, and then that bolts to the faceplate. They also supply all the hardware. Basically, the only thing I have not had to, or the only thing I've had to supply myself so far is a center punch. This is pretty great. Now, I don't think this kit is available for retail yet. In fact, I believe that, well, let me take that back. The Farm TRX kit is available. And I believe you use I don't remember if they have an independent little monitor that shows yield, or use your phone or whatever, but the Farm TRX kit has been available for a while. The AgriGPS integration into running it on a John Deere monitor, so that way I can get yield and moisture to Operation Center, I don't believe is officially released yet. In fact, I think I'm the first person outside of AgriGPS to actually try it out. So, just want to make you guys aware of that here. Now, how does this install on? I'm guessing this way? Yep, this way. Okay. Let's get some bolts. Suppose I should get a screwdriver. I forgot the cover. I tightened it down. I was like, why can I stick it through? Forgot the cover. Actually, I think I can tighten it down here and then put the cover on and then put the nuts on. I was sent short one nut and one washer, but they do have the sizes in their book, so I can grab one pretty easily. Maybe in the exchange of hands between Farm TRX and AgriGPS it was lost. So we have got moisture now. There's a moisture sensor right there. It sits in here as the paddle spins around and gets grain on it. Now next is the eyes, or the laser eyes, or the sensor eyes. These two little things. Now these are what actually calculate the yield, or they see the grain going up the clean grain elevator. So the idea is that, you know, these paddles right here carry the clean grain from the bottom all the way to the top and in the grain tank. So we're gonna drill a little hole, you know, roughly here-ish, but up further on the clean grain elevator. There's gonna be a laser on each side, and then when that laser eye gets disrupted, it measures the time that disruption happens for, and then, you know, calculates it with the width of the head and the speed we're going, and that is what provides a yield. So that's one option. Another option is, I don't think Farm TRX has this option, but some yield monitors have a little paddle at the top where the grain actually hits it, a little impact plate, and it measures the force that's hitting that plate, and that's what measures yield. I don't know if one's better than the other, but for all the universal kits, basically the only option is the little laser that goes in the clean grain elevator. So it sounds pretty easy, but the problem is that when you install this, when you drill the hole, you either want to hit the absolute center of the paddle, or you want to hit the edge of the paddle if you have a angled bracket holding that paddle on, which I kind of, oh, there's two problems. First of all, 8820 paddles are pretty small, so I don't have much area to play with in general. And second of all, the ends of these are indeed angled, not very far, but I've been in contact with AgriGPS and Farm TRX, and they basically told me as long as I hit any of this area at the edge of the paddle, I should be good. And they actually had measurements from a 7720, which they said was 1 3/8, and I measured it, And I should be somewhere kind of along here if I do 1 3/8 on the edge of the paddle, which they said will be good enough. So we're gonna try it. The problem, I would love to hit the center of the paddle. The problem is that the center of the paddle is where the chain is. And then you also have these bolts here, and it just... I wish this thing was see-through and I could physically see it and then drill my hole, but it's not. But if you have a combine, it's not an 8820 and is on this list, they actually have measurements for you. So all you have to do is measure and then drill the holes. But I do not. The 8820 is not in this list, so I gotta follow the instructions over here on where to place it if you don't have measurements. The other part is that they want this as high up on the clean grain elevator as possible, which I guess makes sense because some grain might be falling off the paddle, so you want to get it as close to the top as possible. But I have a lot of pulleys up there, so I'm gonna have to kind of, I don't know, maybe stick it between these two pulleys right here. Might be the option to go to. We'll see. But if a belt breaks, I also don't want it to snap off my yield. You see my dilemma here? So I have determined 1 1/8 is the measurement I'm going to use from the edge. And I'm thinking about going right here between these pulleys. So I figured the eye's going to stick out about 1 inch, which will clear everything here. Hopefully if a belt does break, it breaks not that direction. And I guess this might just have to be one of those belts that I just replace every year, so that way I don't get anything to happen. I kind of wait, you know, I could put it down there, but my quality of yield monitoring is not going to be quite as good as if it was up here a little bit higher. And it is really important for me to get the best quality yield data I can get. So I think I'm going to take the risk and put it between those pulleys. At last second, changed my mind. We're going down here. Okay, now where did I just make that? Is that it right there? That must be it right there. I'm gonna back this bad boy up a little bit. Oh, I can't get my drilling straight there. I gotta go up from that, don't I? Erg. Erg. So then for the next step, they include a step-up bit. You need to drill an 18mm hole, which this is an 18mm step-up bit. So, makes it pretty simple. Am I hitting a paddle? Kind of feels like I'm hitting a paddle. I don't think so. I am right below a paddle. Am I hitting? Oh. Am I hitting the paddle now? Now I'm hitting the paddle. Also, I think I nailed the location of that hole. Wow. Other than there being a paddle slightly in the way. deburr it. Give you one of these little alcohol wipes to make sure the area around the hole is clean before I stick my little template guide thing on there. I just realized I may have accidentally picked like the best spot possible, because obviously you need to be able to access the back of the clean grain elevator, and this is basically the only spot that I can access it from both sides. If I went any lower, it would have been a pain to access from the one side. If I would have removed the shield, I probably could have done it. And now I'm starting to realize if I would have went any higher, it would have been absolutely impossible. So if I would have went up here, it would have been so much harder than right here. So I should have thought of that beforehand. I didn't, but I got lucky. It's nice to get lucky every once in a while. So this comes off, and it sticks on like that. Give it a few firm presses. Okay, now you're supposed to let that sit for a little bit and go do something else. While I'm waiting for that to set, let's see if I can get my steering wheel off and figure out how to get my ATU mounted on here. There we go. Nice and easy. Now the chance the steering wheel actually comes off is basically zero. Guess I'm gonna go need to grab a puller. There's really nowhere good in this cab to set up the camera so we can see what I'm doing. I guess that works. I know for the high boy I had to grab a puller. Yeah, I don't know, it's been in there for 45 years. Oh, that's the wrong direction. Wow. That's kind of unexpected. Just not coming out. The high boy one, once I put a puller on it, popped right out. Aha! Now I'm very curious as to what the steering post looks like. So there's two screws. I removed them. Not much in there. Might get a vacuum though. Looks like there's a little bit of a nest of sorts right here. Yep, that's definitely a mouse nest. Huh. Oh, no, this just like comes right off. A little bit of a mouse nest right here I'll clean up, but I mean it's pretty empty in there. I can't quite get this cover off because it's getting stuck right here. I'm sure if I release it in some way, shape, or probably if I tilt the thing forward I can get it to come all the way off, but I don't really know if I want to either. So my camera battery was going dead and I didn't have any extra battery, so I charged it. In the meantime, I did get this installed. They do not make a bracket for the 8820, an anti-rotation bracket. So I kind of found, well, when I bought my first ATU, ended up being broken. I got this rotational bracket underneath that I was told looks like it went to a Case IH tractor. Well, it was slightly too small, so I took a die grinder to it, made it a little bit larger hole, put it on, and she's solid. So, now the only thing is that I don't have the correct harness to connect the AgriGPS harness and the ATU. So I ordered that. So that will not be here tonight, but I should be able to see everything else. So now that the ATU is installed, we're back over to the yield sensor eyes. Now, they sent this really long adapter so we can drill a hole all the way through the elevator into the other side. So I'm gonna do that to make sure my lines are perfectly straight. And they also have this guide thing here, so that way you can go all the way through and hit perfectly on the other side. What?
The die grinder thing work?
It did.
Okay, I'm heading out.
Okay.
You're not doing dangerous tonight, just tedious, I guess.
No.
Okay.
Okay, there should be a hole all the way through now. Indeed, there is. So here are the sensor eyes. Kind of see there. They are slightly different. The one with 2 LEDs on it, which is this one right here on the right, goes on the outside, and then the one with 1 LED goes on the back side. So theoretically, I just drop this in here. Okay, how did I... Man, without lights. Kind of hard to do this. There we go. Nope, let's do this way to keep that wire away from those belts. Like that. There we go. So it's the next day. I have probably half the wiring done. I'll show it to you guys here. So I kind of decided to go a different way with this. The problem with this combine and wiring is that there's just a lot of belts. I mean, they are just absolutely everywhere. And there's really no great way to get from this side of the combine over into the cab. So what I actually ended up doing is going up. So this right here is the top of the clean grain elevator. If I shine my flashlight down in there, down there is the wiring for the moisture sensor and the yield sensors. And I have it going up. Now this door is like bent and it doesn't close completely anyways. So there's really no harm in just having the wires stick out the top. And then we got some in the cabinet over there. I haven't done it yet, but I'll take one of these bolts out and I'll put the little like wire holder, cable holder on one of these bolts to hold it tight. And then it goes over in front of the intake, around, and same thing with this engine door. It doesn't quite close all the way in the corner. So I just have the cable going into the corner and then zip tying it to the factory wires. So I left off with my wires on top of the engine. And the reason is because I got to figure out a way to get in the cab. Now, I was kind of looking at it last night. I think the best option is to drill a hole through the floor up in this corner of the cab up in there. And the thing is though, is that I got to get some pretty large connectors through it. I don't want to drill a big of a hole. So I went home last night. I don't remember where I put it. It's somewhere. Here it is. And I got my Deutsch connector kit. And I believe in here there is a de-pinning tool somewhere. Is this it, maybe? Here's one of the things. I swear there's another. Wasn't there a red one in here too? Uh-oh, did I lose it? Either way, I'm going to attempt to de-pin the connector and put the cables through there so I can get a lot smaller hole. Okay, I'm thinking about right, let's see. I don't want to step on it. I don't want the floor mat to be too much in the way. So, right next to the drain for the air conditioning, I'm thinking. Like right here. There we go. And now I'm actually just going to use the same bits that Farm TRX gave me because they seem to work really good. It's nice high quality bits. One more. Yeah, there should be enough room for 2 cables. Actually, 3 need to get through that, don't they? 3 need to get through it because I'm also planning on adding this two-way radio so that way I can talk to. Not everything we have has a two-way radio in it. When I was a kid, everything had two-way radio in it. Now with cell phones, don't use them as much, but honestly, I kind of miss them though. They were really nice to have, and I'm still glad that we have them in the grain cart and the combine. And then I want to be able to talk to the grain cart and combine driver, so if I'm helping my dad and my brother. So I'm gonna put this one in mine. I think it works. It's been sitting in the cabinet forever. But yeah, you know, I kind of miss everything having a two-way radio. It was slick back in the day. But anyways, I gotta get this. I got this radio antenna. I don't know what this was used for previously, but it's a good spot to put a radio antenna. So I got that up there, and I gotta get this wire down and into the cab as well. I wish the Farm TRX wiring is about 10 foot longer because it comes into the cab, and then it has about 4 inches before there's a giant connector. And then both the bridge and the ECU are both right off that end of that harness. So I can't, my plan was to put everything on this back wall, but I can't get there. So I kind of have everything sort of laid out right now. I think I'm just gonna have to attach these up. There's supposed to be foam here, but it's gone because it's an old combine. Now it's just metal. I might just put little magnets in the back of these and stick them on right there, because I mean it's out of the way of my separator threshing unit, and these wires can run up alongside the door and get plugged in to this, which I am planning on putting right here-ish, and it'll work out. I just kind of looks like it's all shoved in there because it is. Wish this could be a little bit cleaner. So now I got all the wires into the cab. I haven't organized the cab yet, but I need to get a GPS receiver mounted on this combine. Now, I kind of played around with different ideas, you know, mount it on the roof or on the grain tank, whatever. I don't want to mount on the roof because as far as old Soundguard roofs go, this one's actually in pretty nice condition. I don't want to start drilling holes through it or have to buy the fancy bracket to put it on top. And then I also don't want to have to measure offsets because that's not fun. So, I don't know, for you guys who've been watching for 4 years or so, you might remember this. This is a little like laser line level. I forget what it's actually called, but I put it on the floor, and I don't know how easily you can see it, but I got the line going to the center of the feeder house here, the center bolt on the feeder house here, and it goes all the way up and makes a line in the middle of the grain tank. So I'm gonna mount my GPS receiver in the middle of the grain tank. That way I don't have to measure a side-to-side offset. It'll just be perfectly centered. So pretty proud of that. So I got my bracket along with the AgriGPS receivers, which are plug and play with John Deere equipment with no subscriptions, RTK. I also have these on my website, the John Deere Deluxe brackets. Now these are not actual John Deere ones. These are aftermarket, but I don't remember how much a new one is through Deere. I want to say it's pushing 200 bucks. I'm not 100% sure, it's been a while. But I have these for sale. I think it's for 80 bucks on my website, and I have both black and green. The green one doesn't quite match a John Deere green, but it's pretty close. So if you need one of these, you know, if you're making like a boundary rig for a Ranger, or even adding auto steer to something, or just you're switching from the old style bracket to the new one, save a few bucks and go to my website. But either way, right there's my line. That is the center of the feeder house. So all I gotta do is line this up, drill a couple holes, and mount it. I think I'm actually gonna have it stick out front a little bit, so that way the grain doesn't mess too much with the GPS receiver. I probably could do this, but then it's out there a lot. I think right there's the answer. Still the same drill bit that Farm TRX gave me. It's a dang good drill bit. Ooh, it's hot. Okay. Switch over to a bigger bit. One that can actually fit the bolts that I'm putting in. Oh boy, I think I picked the dullest drill bit in the world for this part. I should probably, you know what? Let's get, oh, I forgot my pockets are full of stuff. Let's get rid of the strings hanging that far away from the drill bit. Yep, I need a different drill bit. Okay. There we go. I got the GPS receiver mounted. That actually looks really good. The only concern I have is this is an older CRG, and it has the antenna sticking straight out backwards. The newer one have them sticking up. I don't know if this is going to be an issue with the grain. I could run this backwards, I suppose. It's not going to look as good. but I definitely could run it this direction if I wanted to. That'd probably be better. Just, you know, I guess I do have some upgrade kits to make this point straight up. Maybe I'll have to actually, I've never bothered because this works fine. It just looks a little funny. But for this, I might actually need to get that. I do have a couple plates that come out, and then you can adapt the antenna to stick straight up rather than straight back. Either way, I will have RTK with this on my John Deere monitor. And these are for sale on my website. And now, as far as the yield monitor install goes, this is the thing that I said I was going to do first. I'm actually doing it last. This is the header height control. I think I found out where I'm going to put it. I'm going to put the main one, sensor A, right here underneath the cab. And then I'm going to put sensor B directly below it, right here on the feeder house, like that. I cleaned it all off. Okay, take off this 3M backing. So finally got everything wired up and powered. The harnessing is just all kind of sitting down there. I gotta figure out where to put this yet. But got it powered on. I got a monitor in here. I had a RAM mount I was gonna mount right here, and then I lost it. So the plan is to put the monitor kind of like right here. I was thinking up in that corner, but that's a really, really long ways for me to reach. And I like to be a little closer, so I think I'm gonna put it right here. But check this out. Hit ISOBUS. I have the AgriGPS CRG, and I have the Farm TRX. Look at this, yield breaker, moisture, total. See, this is in metric tons. I wonder if I can change this over to English. Maybe, maybe not. Like I said, I'm a very early prototyper of this. Header, oh, feet. Oh, look at that, acres per hour. I don't think I can change that. Let's see, crop. My first crop is probably going to be soybeans. Uh-oh. Oh, wait, here we go. Bean, soy. Ha. Okay, what does this switch monitor thing do? Nothing yet. This is sweet. I like this. So at the current moment, you can't change some stuff on the monitor itself. You gotta use the app. So got my app here, gonna connect to my yield monitor. And this is where I'm going to do things like calibrations. Add new user, 8820. Nope, we're going to do turbo, 8820. I want a space in there. What? Oh, I can't do spaces. That's dumb. Okay, turbo 8820. your sensor's not yet calibrated. So if I hit this calibrate button, I can go through, I can calibrate my sensors. Header, here's where I changed my header. Oh boy. I'm gonna be honest, I haven't really read the instructions on how to do this, but here we go. Let's add a header. Let's do 925F. Nope, we want this in feet. 25. Okay. We're going to add another header. 643 corn head. Gosh, 6 rows is what, 15 feet? Yes. There we go. Now I have headers. I can select that one. Yep, so here we got crops, crop calibration, device calibration, live harvesting, and I believe that, I mean, they have a couple different systems, but one of the systems is literally just using your phone or an iPad or something as a yield monitor, which would be perfectly fine if I wasn't trying to share data with my dad. In that case, I need the John Deere one, and that is where that monitor comes in. So at the current moment, I got to make all my adjustments and calibrations on the phone, but it will still record yield and moisture and everything else on the monitor and create a map, which is what we're going for. So, but I just want to make it very clear, this is very early in production. I'm 95% sure that I'm the first person outside of the developers to get this. So there will definitely be updates in the future.